What's up, MMA fans? This is Jimmy Smith. If you aren't listening to my podcast, I'm glad you're listening to the Split Decision podcast with Phil, the MMA dude, and the Fight Geek. Enjoy. Hey guys, it's Phil, the MMA dude. Back with the Split Decision podcast, episode number 25, here with my brilliant co-host, the Fight Geek. Fight Geek, how are you today, man?
Doing excellent. Happy to be back talking fights, episode 25. Let's get into it.
25, let's get into it. Okay, so here's what's on tap for today, folks. First of all, we're going to jump into a UFC Stockholm recap. A lot to discuss there, especially with that main event. After that, we're going to dive into the UFC 238 preview and predictions. We're going to make our picks. And then on to my favorite part, the listener questions. So let me start off the podcast with this question for you, Fight Geek. Now, I do this rarely, but every once in a while we get such a good listener question that I've just got to open the show with it. And
Okay.
This is from the Nation. That's at In Al We Trust. And he said, was Anthony Smith great this past weekend, or was Gus just bad? Go.
Interesting question. I think Anthony Smith was on Ariel Helwani, and he was talking about how he hasn't gotten any respect, and a lot of people were saying that, Gus looked bad, yada, yada, which was kind of the narrative, and he was saying he hasn't gotten any respect. I kind of agree with him there, but I think it was more of a case of him being good than Gus being bad. Gus was moving well. He was trying to do his game plan, kind of, how he uses his movements in boxes.
Mm-hmm.
Anthony Smith is just tough, man, and he turned a mistake by Gus into a really positive situation for himself with that scramble when Gus tried to take him down and then he reversed him.
Yep.
And also the fact that he had a broken hand ended up finishing him. Unbelievable performance by Anthony Smith, in my opinion. Basically, he was great this weekend. Gus did not look horrible. I kind of expected the retirement when he lost. I don't know where he goes from here, but I didn't think he looked like a horribly shot fighter. What did you think?
Yeah, I tend to agree with almost all of that. I think that people are still not really giving Anthony Smith the respect he deserves. I think that victory was definitely a lot more of Anthony Smith doing a great job than Gus doing a poor job. And I was listening to several of the big mainstream MMA pundits, yesterday and today, and a lot. The consensus seemed to be, I really hope that Alexander Gustafsson is not retiring simply because he thinks, oh, I lost to Anthony Smith and that's so bad. And I completely agree.
I don't think that he's retiring for good. I think in MMA retirements we've seen time and time again where guys, have bad momentum and they've hit a rut and the answer in the future isn't clear. So I think we'll see Gustafsson take maybe a couple years off even. At this point, really regroup. He may not even think he's coming back, but I think in time he's young enough that in a few years he'll get the itch to at least compete again, and he'll come back. I don't think he's retired, honestly.
You said he might take a few years off, but that's just another fight for him. I mean, he fights once every 3 years. So would that even count as anything?
Well, for him mentally, if he's telling himself he's retiring, it's a different process, I'd say.
Yeah, no, so, okay, that's very interesting take, though. So you don't believe Gus. You think he's coming back?
I think we'll see him fight again in the UFC, yes.
Wow, interesting.
I think it could be a prolonged absence for sure.
Yeah.
But how old is he? I think you have it pulled up at all? I think he's 34.
I want to say he's like 32. I don't have it pulled up, but I want to say he's 32 off the top of my head.
Yeah, he's like 32 to 34, somewhere in there. So he could literally be gone for 5 years and come back someday and want to compete, especially a light heavyweight. We just saw guys fight into their 40s.
Yeah. Although that in that division is really, really heating up. Yeah, he's 32 years old. Unbelievable.
So 32 years old, he could easily take 3 years off and come back at 35 and still have a run in him potentially. I mean, I'm not saying that's probable. I do think we'll see him fight again. I think this is the classic MMA retirement, honestly.
Yeah, absolutely. So, okay, let's just jump right into it from there. Let's start with that main event. I know
Let's go.
we already discussed it a little bit, but how did you have the fight scored going into that fourth round? Because I thought it was very clearly 2-1 Lionheart, with Lionheart winning the first round. The first round easily. Second round was a little closer, but still definitely Smith. And then obviously that third round, Gus did hurt Anthony with that leg kick to the head, dropped Smith, and then luckily for Smith, the round ended shortly thereafter. Otherwise, he could have been in trouble. How did you have it scored?
I had it 29-28 at the end of 3.
For Smith?
Yes.
Okay, we agree. Yeah.
I thought it was pretty clear.
A lot of people said that Gus won the first. I don't know why.
Yeah, I didn't see that. I thought Anthony Smith looked great, especially with kind of the way he was swaying at his hips with his boxing, and he was using a little more head movement. He's really flat-footed the way he fights, so it's important for him to kind of sway and use his top movement because it's not a lot going on downstairs with Anthony. And I think it was probably his most impressive fight in that regards.
I would agree.
Yeah, I thought he looked really good on the feet in that sense. So, yeah, he looked great. I don't know. And then the fact that he had mentioned that he's a black belt, he's been doing jiu-jitsu for 13 years or something like that. After 13 years of doing jiu-jitsu and being on the mats and having 40 fights, the guy's going to be legitimate on the ground. The ground has always been Gus's issue. And I felt like once he got it there, you saw Gus kind of come to terms with the fact that he wasn't going to get out of there and basically just gave up.
Yep, absolutely. And just wanted to give you credit because I think you chose Smith to win the fight, and then I think I chose Gus. I don't remember clearly. What?
I did not.
Oh, wait a second. I chose Smith, and then literally no one else chose Gus, or no one else chose Smith, and I was the only one. And I need to be a huge douche about it for a second. Can I say that?
Congratulations, Phil.
Okay.
Congratulations, Lionheart. So what's next for him? I put a poll out. What do you think?
I would very, very much like to see Luke Rockhold as his next opponent. I know that Luke has some work to do. He's still got to get past Jan, which I do not think will be as easy as many people seem to think it will be.
I don't think it will be easy as well. So in that case, if Luke loses, because the no-brainer fight is Luke, a number one contender fight, him versus Luke, if Luke wins, to see who fights Jon next. I think that's I think that's clear, because Luke Rockhold, if he puts away Jan and puts away Anthony Smith, could be worthy of a title shot versus Jon, and I think that'd be very intriguing. And Anthony Smith, doing that to Gus and then beating Rockhold would also qualify him for a second chance, I think. So,
oh yeah,
great fight in every way, every aspect. But if he were to lose, who do you think he should fight?
If Luke were to lose?
Yes, excuse me.
Yeah, if Luke were to lose, that's a great question. I'm going to go out and say, and it's not an exciting answer, but this is the answer, Corey Anderson for that.
It's the only answer because that's the only other number one contender match you can make.
Right. Now on that note with Corey Anderson, we know that Lionheart is not fighting soon. He's got a badly broken hand. If you saw that picture of it, oh my gosh.
Yeah, clean break in his left hand.
Yeah, so he'll be out of commission for a while. He's even said as much he needs a break. So I think that what you do is you take one of these up-and-coming light heavyweights, and there's two real hot ones, and no, I am not talking about Dominic Reyes. I'm talking about Johnny Walker. I'm talking about Alexander Rakic. And I think you take one of those two against Corey Anderson in the meantime. What do you think of that?
I think Corey Anderson has established himself way too much to take a risk like that at this point. He's calling for Jon Jones. Why would he look backwards at dangerous fights like that?
Oh, it's simple. It's because Corey Anderson is one of the most boring active fighters on the roster, and no one cares about him. That's why.
Well, I think he's on a 3-fight winning streak right now.
with like what decision. Come on,
So
he's in no position
he does not deserve a title shot based on the fact that his wins are decisions?
No. Look, if he wants that title shot, then a really great step forward would be to shut down a Rakic or a Walker. That would be a great step.
I think it'd be a dangerous step for a guy who's already established himself somewhat. I don't think he would want that fight, in my opinion. I think he's looking up.
I mean, okay, I don't know that he's in any position to make demands of any kind to anyone. But I mean, we already saw that the UFC doesn't care about rankings. You got to be exciting, right? So to me, Anderson might be one loss away from getting cut. I mean, seriously.
That's true. All right, next fight, the co-main event. You mentioned Alexander Rakic. Good Lord, that knockout was frightening. Did you see that?
Of course I did. What
did you think at first glance, first sight?
I think it was extremely impressive. I think
extremely violent. Glad you saw that Jimmy Manuel retired this morning, didn't you?
I did, and I'm very happy that Jimmy did retire.
Very happy. I'd say it was he took one too many fights, but he was an exciting guy, but yeah, he was just right there to be had. And Rakic is a big, athletic, powerful, explosive guy.
Is it Rakic or Rakic? Can we just get because Ariel Helwani was saying Rakic, but I don't know.
I don't know either.
I don't know, guys. Someone's gonna tweet us and be like, get this right.
All right.
Okay.
But yeah, so crazy fight.
Wait, who's
was
next?
Over quick.
Who's next for Rakic? Corey Anderson.
Volkan Oezdemir.
Okay. Yeah, I'm hearing that. From some. I like that. Look, I can't argue with that.
Yeah, 2 bangers. That'd be an exciting one. Someone's going down, I feel like.
Yeah, definitely. And then I'm just looking at the card. I'm trying to see if there's anything else that we need to go over. I will say this. Look, credit to Lena Landsberg defeating Tanya Avenger with that unanimous decision. Did you see that fight?
Of course, and you're just calling it out because you picked her, right?
See, you guys see what I'm dealing with?
No. She landed some nasty elbows.
I chose Tanya.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
So,
see, guys,
we were both wrong, but yeah, she looked pretty good. I think that Avenger should be cut, I guess, at this point. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I was actually just going to ask you. I have these little notes for the episode, and I said, what's going on with Avenger? Like, you tell me, what's going on with her?
I really don't know. I think her style, she's always just been a tough grinder. And in Invicta and kind of some of the other leagues, she may have been able to kind of be better than average there. And now that she's in the UFC, she's just fighting, Lena Landsberg is a Muay Thai fighter from Sweden. So, I mean, she's just fighting world-class fighters now, and you're seeing how it looks. I think that's the honest truth.
Yep, accurate. Okay, I think that we can move on from there. If I'm being totally honest, there weren't that many memorable fights.
Did you have any thoughts on the Murakami fight? I thought that was exciting.
Oh, good call. That was an exciting fight, and that was an exciting finish because it looked like Fishgold had him in a submission, right? And then he just turns it around completely and gets Fishgold.
Yeah, the guy's a great athlete. He's got a fighter's mentality. That was a fun fight. Amirkhani's definitely one to watch, definitely. And I can't believe you're going to move off. We haven't even touched on Leonardo Santos. I know you didn't pick him, but that guy's explosive.
Wait. Hold up. I did pick Santos over Stevie Ray. And I know because I did horrendous on this card, and that was one of the few I got right.
That was like on the back foot counter, like straight right on knock Stevie Ray into next week. It was a great counterpunch.
Yeah, I feel bad for Stevie Ray because I think he's a very exciting fighter who loves to fight. He's almost like a less talented Cody Garbrandt, and I'm very concerned he's going to be cut.
I mean, it's definitely possible. Another one I wanted to call out, Frank Camacho. That guy's always entertaining to watch fight. What'd you think of that fight? You remember it?
Oh yeah, TKO punches. Wasn't it at the very, very end of the second round?
It was late.
It's like fourth. Let me look it up. Yeah. 456 of the second round. He got the TKO.
Nice.
Against Nick Hine. Yeah, that was incredible. Camacho was definitely very impressive.
Yep. So cool. I think that does it for UFC Stockholm, right?
Yeah, we will move on to that deep dive into UFC 238, which I am going to. I'm going to it, Fight Geek. I'm pumped.
It's a good card to go to. I'm jealous.
I'm so pumped, baby. I'm so pumped. Let's go.
All right, let's hop right into it. Let's start at the top. I will kick it to you. Main event. Marlon Moraes versus Henry Cejudo. Go.
Wow, how kind of you. Thank you so much. Moraes versus Cejudo for the bantamweight title, guys. Honestly, let me just say really quickly, it is so underrated, okay? It is such a strange fight. It is such a hard fight, and I made a note here, Fight Geek, because Moraes had been the favorite. It was close odds, but Moraes had been the favorite up until today. Cejudo is now the slightest of favorites. It's almost a pick'em. But Cejudo's, does that surprise you?
It does surprise me. I thought it would get a lot closer towards the end of the week, but it surprises me that it's that way right now.
Yeah.
I feel like there's a lot of groundswell for Marlon Moraes.
Yeah, I mean, let me ask you this. Who have we seen Moraes, have we seen him really have amazing takedown defense recently?
Well, Aljo tried to take him down. He knocked him into next week. That's pretty good defense.
True. He did catch Aldo.
That guy is 15-1 in the last 7 years, I believe. I was looking at today. So in the one loss is a Sun Sao, who he came back and dominated. So
yeah,
the guy in the last 7 years has been pretty darn good. But you got to make your pick first. Go.
Yeah, I will. And everything you said about Moraes is true, but what gives me pause is Henry Cejudo, frankly. Look, he went from beating arguably one of the greatest UFC fighters of all time, certainly the greatest flyweight of all time in Demetrius Johnson. Then he went and beat who had previously been viewed as one of the greatest bantamweights of all time, TJ Dillashaw. Obviously, that's going to change now with the EPO stuff, but he went and beat Dillashaw on EPO in a matter of seconds. So, he's
got a gold medal, which is
he's got a gold medal.
It's harder to get than a UFC belt, right?
I mean, well, in wrestling, I don't know. I wouldn't go that far.
I don't know.
But
a wrestling gold medal, they seem to put it up on a pedestal.
Yeah, look, I have respect for Cejudo. I can't really watch his interviews without just feeling so awkward. He's the most cringeworthy champ of all time.
He's owning it now, so
he is owning it.
It's better now that he's owning it. It's not like coming off awkward, like he thinks he's cool. He's aware that it's not cool. That's what's cool.
That's good. Yeah. Okay. So, anyways, on to my pick. Everyone's saying, okay, get with the pick.
Yeah.
I think that I would not be surprised at all.
This is like letting the listeners into one of our phone conversations.
All right. I would not be surprised at all if Cejudo takes Moraes down successfully. One or two or several times in the fight. But I think in the end, he's going to get caught. My guess is Moraes by TKO in the third round.
Really?
Yes.
Yeah, I had actually been making a case for Henry all the way up until a couple hours ago, and I'm going to go ahead and go with Marlon Moraes as well. And I actually think so hard to call. I'm going to say fourth round KO, Marlon Moraes.
All right.
And I think the high kicks will be something that will definitely be in play. Marlon Moraes throws lightning fast high kicks with no tell. Henry's short. Henry has been hit with high kicks before. I think that's interesting.
Totally agree. I think he's getting caught with a leg kick. Okay, moving on to the co-main event. Shevchenko versus Jessica I will let you start off with the pick on this one.
I mean, We really going to break it down? I think
not really. No, we're not. No, we're not.
Valentina Shevchenko by unanimous decision, and I'll say 50-44.
Yeah, you don't think she can get the finish?
No, I think in her hometown or home area she's tough. Jessica Ai is tough, and she's experienced, and this is the fight of her life. I'm sure she'll be at her best. So I'm expecting her to make it to the bell. I just think that she's going to take a lot of damage and be outclassed. So I think we'll see that.
Yeah, I'm actually taking Shevchenko by fourth round submission, and I see that happening through a ground and pound that gives, Ai's going to give her back or something. She's going to give something up, and Shevchenko's going to get her.
Very interesting. Okay, let's move on.
Let's move on. I feel a little bad handing that one to you because that was such a boring one.
How shocked would you be if I pulls it off? Put it on some kind of scale.
No. I've heard. Okay, let me. Yeah. Would it be a bigger upset than Andy Ruiz beating Anthony Joshua this weekend?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Wow. I say yes. I say yes.
Andy Ruiz is more skilled than Jessica Ai. Correct. In their respective professions.
That's why it would be a bigger upset.
That's true. Okay. Way to put it in perspective.
Yeah. Okay. Tony Ferguson versus Cowboy Cerrone. I'm so excited. I can't believe we got this fight.
I can't believe we got this fight either. I can't believe it's only 3 rounds, though. It really burns my soul.
I know, man.
I want this to be a 5-round fight. They're just going to be getting started in the third, more than likely.
I know. So it's only fair because you gave me Mariah Cejudo. I kind of gave you that BS Shevchenko-Ai fight that no one cares about. Oh, sorry. Wait, what? No, I'm kidding. You go first. Tony Ferguson versus Cowboy Cerrone. Who's got it? Who wins?
Ooh, Daddy Cowboy has been uber impressive, but you can't go against the boogeyman. I think El Kukui gets it done. He's got so much to prove and every reason to get on that mic at the end of the show. I think he's going to be driven like never before. I'm taking El Kukui by... Actually, I'm going to go ahead and say second round TKO.
Wow. Okay. So you think Ferguson's going to stop Cowboy faster than he stopped Showtime?
In this instance, I mean, I'm not comparing them that way.
Okay.
I'm just, the way I see the fight going is that Tony's going to come out, and I feel he's going to be uber aggressive. Cowboy's a slow starter. I think Tony is creative enough to really put some pressure on Tony, a la what he did to RDA. RDA's pressure gave Tony a horrible problem, or RDA gave Cerrone's. RDA's pressure gave Cerrone horrible problems when they fought. Tony gave RDA horrible problems with his pressure. So I think that kind of combination right there is going to be tough for Cowboy. But I think it's a pick-em in my opinion because both guys are great fighters. Both guys have multiple ways to win. Both guys are good on their feet. Both guys are good on the ground. It's the all-time wins leader versus the longest win streak in the UFC, I believe. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, it's going to be awesome. How do you see it?
Yeah, I tend to agree with a lot of what you said here. I will say that what you were saying about, Ferguson gave RDA problems, that's a little MMA math. As we know, MMA math doesn't always work out.
It is, of course it is. And that's why I'm wrong on most of my picks. Because
but look, the truth is, I think a lot of people are sleeping on Cowboy's chances, okay? He's in with a great chance. If you don't think that it's essentially a 50-50 fight, you're looking at it wrong. Ferguson,
it can go either way. Both guys have many ways to win.
Ferguson's great, but Cowboy just destroyed Ally Quinta in a 5-round fight. That's not a joke. It's really not.
Yeah, but Ally Quinta doesn't offer nearly as many things to worry about as Tony Ferguson does. Tony Ferguson is wild and comes out with different elbows, long strikes, kicks, spinning stuff, rolling stuff. I mean, Darce chokes from the standing position. Tony Ferguson is a different guy. He guys accidentally give him things because of how comfortable he is in awkward situations. So
yeah, absolutely.
Al is a very come forward, beat you with straightforward grit and technique. He's not going to do a lot of crazy outside the box things that you have to worry about, which I believe allowed Cowboy to get very comfortable. And then once he got comfortable with what he was saying, he was able to unload on Al later on in the fight.
Yeah.
Tony Ferguson is not going to let you get comfortable. Everything we've seen from him is he's going to be in your face, throwing all kinds of stuff you've never seen before until you get tired, and then he's going to finish you. Yep. So until I see something other than that, that's all I can picture with him.
Yep. And then really quick, I've got Ferguson as well, but I've got him by unanimous decision, and I actually have him losing a round. I think he's going to lose either the first or second round. I realize Cowboy's a slow starter, but I think Cowboy's going to take a round. I see Ferguson winning 2-1, unanimous decision.
Yeah, I could see that as well, but I think he's going to put the pressure on. It's going to be a problem. So we'll see.
Okay. Next fight, Peter Yan versus Jimmy Rivera. And I've got another little note here saying, what's going on with Rivera? What's been going on with him lately? He's in a little bit of a slump.
Yeah, he's a wrestler boxer with a predictable style that a lot of these guys have seen. If you know, I hate to be that blunt, but if you look at the guys who are really super uber successful, I mean, they're dynamic. They can do a lot of different things. They come at you from a lot of different angles, you know?
Mm-hmm.
I just think that he's a bit predictable. He wins with wrestling defense, and basically boxing. So that's just a very easy style to prepare for. And when you're at the elite level, I think that guys offer, you know, a lot of different looks, and he just struggled.
Yeah. Okay. Wait. We got to move. There's so many fights to cover here. Who do you got on Yan versus Rivera?
Oh, I'm taking Peter Yan. I think he's much more versatile. I think it's going to be on the feet because I don't think anyone can take Jimmy Rivera down. And Peter Yan has shown us nothing but creativity, powerful striking, comes forward. One of my favorite young fighters, so it's going to be a great fight. I take Peter Yan by unanimous decision.
Yeah, it's good. By the way, I also have to take Peter Yan by unanimous decision. It's going to be so bad if we're wrong with these first 4 fights because it's just going to be bad. We keep agreeing. I think this is the first time in history we've agreed on the first 4 fights. We better be right. Okay. Tai Tuivasa versus Blagoy Ivanov. Should I go first or should you? I'll go first. Okay. I think that it's very tempting to take Tai Tuivasa in this. He's a real fun guy. He's a really, really fun personality. But Blagoy Ivanov went 5 rounds with Junior Dos Santos, and Dos Santos has been on a tear, okay? I think that Blagoy Ivanov is going to win a split decision over Tai Tuivasa.
I disagree. I'm going to take Bam Bam. I think he's young. He's improving. He's learned a few lessons recently in his last few fights. I think he'll put it together against a less athletic guy. Obviously, Blagoy, is that his last name?
That's his first name, Blagoy Ivanov.
Blagoy Ivanov has been fairly impressive, super tough, obviously, extremely tough. But he does get hit quite a bit. I think in even the wins he's had, he's gotten hit quite a bit.
So does Tai gets hit too.
Yeah, but Tai's young with a cinder block for a head. I think he can get hit a lot more at this point. I mean, the guy drinks beer all day out of shoes. He can take a few shots.
True. Okay.
So I'm going to go ahead and take Tai Tuivasa by unanimous decision.
All right. Okay, so we disagree there. Hashtag split podcast. All right, next fight that we have to cover. Sorry, guys, it is a
We got to talk about them all, and I think we both agree the next one is Tatiana Suarez.
Tatiana Suarez, Nina Ansaroff, a.k.a. Lady Nunez.
Thanks for update.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I think we're all waiting to see this. Tatiana Suarez is kind of like the uncrowned queen of the division, I guess you'd say. Everyone kind of foresees her being a champion, so watching her rise is always going to be incredibly important, I guess you'd say. I think people compare her to like a female Khabib. So with that being said, Nina Ansaroff does train at ATT with, arguably the best team in the world. I'm sure she will be in the best shape of her fight life. And this will be a tough fight. She's a resilient girl, but I do think that Suarez will take it unanimous decision.
Oh, okay. You think Nina's going to last 15 minutes?
Yeah, if she rolls and trains with Amanda every day, the champ, I think she's going to last to the bell. I do. She's tough.
All right. I got Suarez by stoppage in the second round. And now you're asking me if it's going to be a submission or a knockout. I see it being a ground and pound stoppage TKO for Tatiana Suarez
nice.
In the second.
Okay, Sterling versus Munoz. Who do you have here?
Woo! So I made a little note here. In a card filled with hard call fights,
All hard calls.
I think, and you tell me if you disagree, Fikey. I think this is the hardest fight to call on the card.
No.
No?
It's not.
The
main event was harder, and another fight I had a really tough time.
All right, wow, you're really just shutting me down.
Sorry.
Shutting me down like an IBM computer from 1991.
Okay, you taking it or am I?
Go ahead.
I'm going to take Aljamain Sterling here. I think he's shown improvement in his striking. His distance control is great. His wrestling is good. Actually, his wrestling is better than good. It's very, very good. So I'm taking him by split decision. Let's keep it moving.
Yeah, this one is so hard. I do disagree with you. It's so hard, though. I could easily go either way, but give me Pedro Munoz by unanimous decision.
Okay, takes us to another great fight. I love this one.
Yeah.
Carolina, how do you say her last name?
Kovacevic
versus one of my favorites, Alexa Grasso. What do you think of this fight?
Yeah, I think it's a great fight. I think this is a really, really big fight for Carolina Kovacevic.
Absolutely.
Yeah, this is a gut check fight for her. And you know what? I think she's going to deliver with a knockout in the second.
A knockout?
Carolina knocks out Grasso in the second.
I see Carolina outpointing Grasso with some of her toughness and kind of her veteran savvy. So I'm going to take her by decision.
See, guys, do you notice when he does that, he's mocking me for the same fighter pick to win, but by a knockout? I have her winning by this way.
When has Carolina knocked anyone out in her whole career?
I like to live dangerously, son.
Knocked out.
Have you seen Austin Powers 1? I also like to live dangerously.
How many female knockouts in history have been in that class? The one that she took, and that's it.
You are being so disrespectful. I'm gonna tell her. I'm tweeting her what you said, bro. That's messed up, dog.
I'm just saying I don't see a one-shot knockout, especially from a striker to a striker like Grasso. She's very slick for her age and where she's at.
Okay.
All right, next fight. Let's go to Kelvin Qatar versus
Ricardo Lamas, representing Chicago, Illinois, even though his gym, by the way, is in the middle of nowhere. I wish he was in Chicago. I would go in a second. I don't know why it's in the middle of absolute nowhere, but that's okay. Okay, all right. I'm taking this fight. I'll go first. I got Kelvin Qatar defeating Ricardo Lamas, and you know what? I got it by another unanimous decision.
I'm taking Qatar by third round KO.
Woo!
Yep.
Okay. All right.
I think he'll wear him down. He has some height and reach on him.
Okay. All right. Let's move on. Angela Street Fighter Hill. I know that's not her nickname, but I just always remember her wearing the Street Fighter gear for her face-off.
Yep.
Versus Yan Xiaonan. I don't know. How do you say it? Maybe I butchered that.
I think it's Xiaonan. I don't know.
Okay. Yeah. Sorry, guys. We don't know how to. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Okay. I really like Angela Hill because she's She's almost like a way less talented female Lionheart. Less talented, worse.
What are you talking about?
I'll tell you why. No, I'll tell you why. Because she's got no quit. She's a grinder.
That's true. She's very tough.
So that's what I mean.
So you're taking Angela Hill because she's tough?
Yep.
Okay.
I got her by split decision.
I'm taking Xiaonan Yan or Yan Xiaonan.
By?
So, I'll take her by decision.
Okay, split or unanimous.
Are we gonna
split or unanimous? People need to know.
Actually, I changed my pick right now as I'm thinking. I'm gonna take her by submission. Third round.
Okay. All right. Joanne Calderwood versus Kaylin Chookagian. Go ahead.
Calderwood. Go ahead.
Calderwood. I'm annoyed because she's the underdog. I can't believe you're taking her too.
I think she's faced the better competition and looked better. She's also changed weight classes and settled in a bit. Plus, she's in my opinion, a better striker. But both of them are good. This is an extremely hard fight to pick as well. I mean, I don't know how you could make a case for both.
Yep.
I'm taking Calderwood.
Okay, all right. We got to keep it moving. I'm taking Lewis over Stewart. What about you?
Same. Should be a slugfest. Someone should get knocked out there.
Weinland versus Popov.
Popov.
Damn it. Yeah, I got Popov too. All right. We better get into some fights in the listener questions.
Some film on him or some of his highlights on YouTube. He's actually a very versatile striker. He actually has some submission wins. Also, he's 13-1. Eddie Weinland is a tough old veteran, but I think he gets hit quite a bit at this point.
Yup, agreed. Okay, so I think it is formally time for listener questions.
Let's go. All right, I will pull them up.
Yo, you like those pipes? I got some pipes, right? Come on, give me some credit.
Yeah, we're gonna have to trademark that soon. Here we go. From Unsolicited Fight Picks at they only show a little bit. At Combative Views, one of the show regulars. Rank your lightweight contenders by potential.
Wait, lightweight or light heavyweight?
Rank your light heavyweight contenders by potential.
Okay. Do you want me to go first? Why don't you go first? Because I don't fully understand what he means. Does he mean, what does he mean? Can Lionheart be number one, or is?
Well, I think the question means who has the potential to beat Jon Jones.
Okay.
Right? I don't know. That's
Okay, no, I think that's a good way to interpret it. Okay, I'll go first. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and say number one is going to be number one, Thiago Santos. Sorry, yeah, because if he throws caution to the wind and just throws as hard as he can, he may be able to catch Jones. I think he's got a way bigger chance than people say. Number two, Anthony Lionheart Smith in a rematch. I think that he went all five. He held back. He was nervous. This Fight Geek is shaking his head. He doesn't like these answers at all. Number three, Johnny Walker. Johnny Walker is for real. If he can avoid horrendously injuring himself while pretending to do the worm in a post-victory celebration, I've never heard of a more embarrassing injury in my life. So hopefully he can stop doing dumb shit. But number four, Alexander Rakic.
So it's a tough one. I will say, I mean, you think all four of those guys have a better chance than Luke Rockhold?
Absolutely. I think Luke's going to have a really rough ride.
Yeah, I do too. I actually think that
absolutely.
If you're giving Thiago Santos a puncher's chance, I think that Johnny Walker has a better puncher's chance because he's bigger, he's longer, he's stronger, and he's technically a little more explosive.
Whoa, he's stronger? Whoa, stronger?
Well, he's a much bigger man in a bigger frame, and he's built. I'm not saying I don't know their bench presses, but a 6'4" man and a 6'1" man, usually the strength on the 6'4" man who's cutting down from 230 is going to be more. There's different cases, but I would say that fast twitch-wise and variety-wise, I mean, if anyone's going to catch Jon, it's going to be Johnny Walker. That guy has already shown us 3 different finishing sequences, from one, an explosive elbow to the temple, one, a flying knee, and then what was his other knockout?
No,
I don't remember off the top of my head, but he's shown us a variety of ways to knock someone out. So I would say, man, it's tough.
So it sounds like number 1 is Johnny Walker for you.
Yeah, Johnny Walker, number 1. Anthony Smith, number 2. Dominic Reyes, number 3. And Alexander Rakic, number 4. But, I mean, that's so far away.
So Santos doesn't even make it. He doesn't even make the cut.
Oh, yeah, we'll give Santos 4. Excuse me. I'm sorry. Santos is going to be short with a puncher's chance against Jon. I do not see him landing that shot.
So I don't mean to be a jerk, but what are you talking about with this Reyes stuff? Like, what are people talking about? I saw him get his ass beat by Volkan, and then they gave him the win.
Well, he lost a decision, or he won a decision. He didn't get that.
No, I mean, right, but that was a despicable.
But he's young, 1.
Yeah.
2, I mean, he's athletic. He's a fluid striker. He's shown some abilities, if he improves and sharpens those tools, to be able to give him problems, potentially.
He looked so overwhelmed against Volkan, I can't believe they said that he beat him. I can't believe it. I guess I don't get the Reyes
I don't
thing.
think that's quite as horrendous as you do, but I did think Volkan won that fight. But, again, that's a tough fight for, how old is Reyes, 25?
I mean, he's not a
25,
baby.
and I know, but he's fighting Volkan Oezdemir, who's 34 years old or something, and just fought
No. Volkan's younger than that, but anyway.
He's like 32.
Okay, maybe. But okay.
And he's fought Daniel Cormier, and he's fought, Anthony Smith, and he's fought all these names. Yeah. You don't think that's an incredibly tough match for someone like Reyes to step up to?
No, it is, but I just...
And he didn't get knocked out cold in the first round. He didn't get completely outclassed. He had a dogfight with Volkan Oezdemir, who's a former title challenger at 25, 26 years old.
Right,
pretty
darn good, dude. Yeah, when you talk about Anthony Smith, everyone says, well, Volkan... I mean, I can't tell you how many people say Volkan sucks. Volkan sucks.
45 fights. And how many does Reyes have? 12?
Right,
10?
but I mean, come on. A lot of people have zero respect for Volkan Oezdemir. I think that's fair to say. So
I think it's a dangerous fighter. He's a big, strong guy. I mean, people have zero respect for anybody who gets in a cage and is a professional fighter should watch something else.
I agree. I have a ton of respect for Volkan. Don't get me wrong, but I'm just saying.
The guy fought Daniel Cormier.
Okay. We got to move on. Okay.
Right.
This question from Quinn, regular listener. What up, Quinn? This is at Orthodox 1993. Guys, give Quinn a follow if you don't already. He knows his stuff. Most anticipated fight at 238 for y'all. I'll go first. It's very close between obviously the main event and another fight, but I've got to go with that other fight. Tony Ferguson versus Cowboy. Let's be real.
No brainer.
Well, Moraes Cejudo is close for me.
But it's not because, I mean, yeah, it's a great fight. They're both amazing fights, but this one has 2 historic legends, in my opinion. At this point, those 2 may get there, but we have the all-time wins leader in UFC history, which means something to me, versus the guy with the longest winning streak in UFC. So if you care about winning, this is the fight,
Oh yeah, absolutely. Okay.
And the 155-pound division is going to be figured out in a couple months, and anybody who's been following it for the last few years should be extremely excited. We're going to get to see some of these fights happen finally.
Yep. Okay, do you have one lined up, or should I go?
Go ahead.
Okay. This is from Anish Nair. That's at Big Anish M. Nair. And he says, so what happens if Tony beats Cowboy, the winner fights Khabib, or does Conor get that shot? So I think he's asking, is Tony gonna get the next shot actually after UFC 242?
I think Dana's already started the grease work. It looks like Conor's gonna get that next shot. I mean, that's what it sounds like to me. He was on Did that come out today, that soundbite of him talking about Conor wanting the Khabib fight?
Yeah, it did. But you believe that?
And then,
I mean,
of course I believe it. Of course.
no. Let me be clear. I think that Conor will get the rematch, but I just don't think it's going to happen in December. We know that assuming Khabib beats Dustin, that he wants to fight again in December, and I think that's going to be the
So
Tony
you think
Cowboy
it could
winner
be winner of Tony Cowboy in December and then Conor in like March?
in April.
April?
Yep, that's my guess.
I mean, that's a hell of a load for 6 months, dude.
Khabib already said he wants that.
He's gonna, or in 8, 9 months, he's gonna fight Poirier, Ferguson, and McGregor. If he does that and wins all 3, he is the GOAT.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's a crazy 8-month period if he does that. I do not believe he'll do that, but we'll see.
Okay, you got one or should I go?
Keep going.
Okay, this is Uncle Yagi at Enzuki_101. Love this guy. Thoughts on Askren jumping Colby with a win at 239? And I know we covered this a little bit last episode. I think it will happen. I think it will absolutely happen.
I would hate to see that happen.
Okay.
I hope it doesn't. Personally.
Okay, but do you think, let me put it this way, do you think the winner of Jorge Masvidal versus Ben Askren will jump Colby for the title fight against Usman?
No.
Interesting. Let me go on record, I think that the Askren-Masvidal winner will absolutely jump Colby for that title shot at the end of the year.
All right. Well, we have disagreed. Let's go.
I'm not saying I want that to happen. I'm saying I think it'll happen.
I don't. Let's go.
Okay, all right. At Grasp Games, that's at GRASPGAINZ. Win or lose for Henry. What happens to 125 after this fight? If he loses, he'll be the champ of a division with 8 people now, I think. If he wins, the bigger moneymaker fights are all at 135, in my opinion. So he's asking, what's going to happen to 125 if Henry wins, if Henry loses? Go ahead.
First of all, if Henry loses, he'll be the co-main event fighting Joseph Benavidez for the 125-pound belt next. That's what I firmly believe. If he wins, goodness, I think he might fight. I don't have the list right in front of me.
But do they close? Okay, if he wins, do they close flyweight?
I mean, they still have 8 fighters employed, so there's obviously a few guys they're not letting go. Maybe contractually for some reason. Maybe they have like some kind of clauses in their contract. So I think we'll still see maybe flyweight through the end of the year. 8 guys can populate another 6 months of fights.
Okay.
And then maybe kind of it be dissolved later. But if he loses, I believe he's fighting Joseph Benavidez, which is one of those 8 guys, and they're 1-1, right?
I think it's just Joseph 1-0.
It might be. So yeah. So I think that's an interesting fight to make if Henry loses, and he won't have a lot of options then. I mean, I don't think he would want to just give up his belt and keep fighting at 135 if he loses at 135. I think he'll hold on to every title fight he can possibly milk, and if he can get one with Joseph Benavidez, why not?
Sure. And I mean, come on, hard to blame him. I mean, if he's champ of a division,
that's very smart of him. That's what the whole going for champ allows you to do. It gives you options on both sides, similar to what Max Holloway just did. You know, he took the chance.
Yep.
It didn't work out for him. Now he's got plenty of fights back at home. Yep. So it could be the same exact situation for Henry.
Yep. Okay.
If he wins, I think throw him in there with the winner of Aljo versus Munoz.
I totally agree. If he wins, throw him in that fight between the winner of Sterling and Munoz. I think if he loses, we are going to still see perhaps one final. It might be the final flyweight title between him and Joseph Benavidez too. And then they may force Henry up to bantamweight. I don't think they're going to cut him either way. But
not if he keeps winning.
Right, exactly. But even if he loses the Joseph Benavidez fight, I don't see him being cut. I think they just force him up to bantamweight. I mean,
well, at that point, I mean, they cut traded Demetrius Johnson after he lost.
Traded, not cut. Again, big difference. We've talked about this before. But
right. Okay. Next question.
All right. So This is from Cowboy Jabroni at Cowboy Jabroni. If Cejudo wins, do you think that cements him as a elite level fighter, as a top level fighter, or does he still have more to prove himself? And I think that we can interpret this just for the sake of the podcast. For if Cejudo wins this, does this represent him as one of the greatest?
Okay, well, the way I read it, Henry Cejudo is a great fighter today.
I know
resume. He's
that's
a
why
great
I'm
fighter.
reinterpreting the question.
This isn't a personality contest. That's what I always try to tell people. Just because he's a little goofy, just because he don't look how you like, just because he don't knock guys out the way you like, just because he's not what you like, doesn't mean he's not great. So Henry Cejudo's great. He has tons of greatness in him. If he wins this fight versus Marlon Moraes, is he an all-time great? Not quite, in my opinion. He still
really?
has a...
Okay, I said, oh, really? No, that's a good...
I mean, what do you think? If he wins this fight, he's top 4 ever? No, of course not.
No, but he's top 15 ever.
We'll say top 25 ever. I mean, ever is a long time with a lot of badass fighters. So
true.
Let's be careful when you say top 15, top 10 ever.
Okay, he beat Mighty Mouse, followed by TJ Dillashaw, followed by the guy who's knocking everyone out of Marlon Moraes. I mean, that...
Yeah, so that'd be maybe top 25 resume in history, in my opinion.
Okay, all right.
When you start doing some research, you find out there's a lot of guys with some amazing records who were amazing fighters.
Do you guys see how condescending he is to me? Do you see
that?
I'm like a battered wife or something. What is
people forget about other eras like they're horrible. They weren't.
Yeah, no, I agree. Okay, this is from Mr. B at Mr. B 1986. Seriously random question. Do you guys feel that Thomas Almeida has been forgotten in the bantamweight division? Do you want me to go first or you?
I'll take it. Yes, he's been forgotten. I've forgotten it. What happened to him? We took all that damage and we just haven't seen him. So I don't know. He's one of those guys who kind of just fizzed out.
Okay, so here's my take on that. Because I did do some research on this question. I totally admit it. I thought it was
really?
Well, I thought it was an interesting one. So look, he's on a 2-fight losing streak, and he's lost 3 of his last 4 fights. Now what happened is after that, so he hasn't.
Can I interrupt 1 second? What is his total record and how old is
he? Okay, now you're really.
Because he has like, off the top of my head, like 25 fights, and he's only like 26 years old or something, right?
Yeah, that sounds right. I'm trying to look him up as we speak.
It's kind of like the Miguel Torres syndrome, where like they've just they're so shop worn at such a young age. It's insane.
Yeah, he's it's interesting. His record is 21-3, which is really good, and then those 3 losses have come in 3 of his last 4 fights.
But how old is he?
He's in his late 20s. He's 27.
So he's 27. When was his last fight?
It was UFC 220.
What year?
January 20th, 2018. But
okay.
So he
hasn't fought in 18 months, and so he basically had 24 fights in 26 years. So yeah, I was right.
Yeah, but I know. No. So there's a little more to why he hasn't fought though. So he was expected to face Marlon Vera at UFC 235, but he pulled out with an undisclosed injury. And then a little later on, it was revealed that he'd been experiencing major issues with his vision and required emergency eye surgery. So he had emergency eye surgery, and that's the last that I've heard.
Does not sound promising, so.
No, it does not at all.
Well, it's unfortunate because he was an exciting guy, but I think that Cody really injured him.
Yep. Okay, moving along for Kenneth Roberts at Mr_Tittlewinks. With the news about Paige Van Zandt needing a 3rd surgery on her forearm, do you guys think we'll see her fight ever again?
I imagine you'll see her fight probably again, but I mean, her days as a legitimate prospect are long over, in my opinion. She's more of like a novelty fighter, almost more. She's a tough girl, but I think her name will still carry weight because of like kind of her social persona. But I think her days as like a legitimate contender are long gone, personally.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and part of me just wants to say again, I don't want to be like that, like annoying, gross, like male MMA dude. But I mean, why does she? I'm sure she could make a great living just being a model. Did you see her Sports Illustrated swimsuit photos? I mean, just be a supermodel. Like she really could.
She could do other things for sure.
Yeah,
And she's
yeah.
married. Her husband is a fighter. Blah blah blah. So
She's got a lot of options, is what I'm saying.
yeah, let's say that. Which a lot of options is why she probably, didn't necessarily stay as focused on fighting as. I mean, she's had a lot of injuries too, though. So she's dealt with quite a bit of wear and tear at a young age.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And then, really quick, Fighting with Myself podcast said, "What is your favorite Gustafsson moment?" And I will kick it off if I may be so bold.
Oh, you're gonna steal it, huh?
No, no, no. You know what? No. Wow, I feel terrible. Go ahead.
The uppercuts to Glover, right? I mean, when I saw that live, it was a thing of beauty.
Oh yeah, well you're giving a mature and actual answer. I wasn't going to do that.
Well, I just want to make sure you didn't steal that because that's mine. Those uppercuts to Glover obviously were what I would remember Gus for, and his fight with Jon. Obviously, I watched that fight with a couple buddies. In real time, it felt like Jon was losing. So those two memories stick out and always will.
Yeah, absolutely. So with Gustafsson, I'm one of the very few people. I've never liked Gustafsson, and I never really will. I know that's unpopular to say. I think that he was extraordinarily disrespectful to Anthony Smith after he lost by totally stealing the spotlight with his overdramatic retirement. He gave no respect to Smith. I don't know if you saw the post fight press conference. It was just zero respect to Smith. Basically said as much as, well, I lost to a homeless crack addict, so now I have to retire. Which
whatever, save the diatribe.
Okay, so anyways, to answer his question though, so what was my favorite moment? My favorite moment was him tapping Anthony Smith, in a very submissive way, begging him to stop choking him after his humiliating defeat in Stockholm this past weekend.
Excellent.
Boom! I just lost half our subscribers.
Just the ones from Europe.
Yeah, exactly. Sorry, guys.
Let's see here.
We have one from Instagram. Guys, you can hit us up on Instagram, okay? The Split Podcast page is also on Instagram. I'm on Instagram. Fight Geek needs to get an Instagram. We've got one from Jim Asoon, and I'm guessing you're about to read it, Fight Geek.
I can certainly do so. Let me pull that up on Instagram.
So, guys, do not forget to follow us on Instagram as well, okay? We are not
It's
just
at @split_podcast. Same handle, @split_podcast. This one's from Jim Asoon. If Marlon Moraes beats Henry, do you think Marlon Moraes will go after Henry's other belt at 125? Go ahead.
Yeah, I love that question. Wow, what a great question that I had not considered. My honest guess is that Moraes will not necessarily due to a lack of interest. I think that Moraes still is going to need to build his name a little bit, especially with the North America and the European public. I don't think he's got that much heat with him. That can change with wins, but no, I don't think that he's going to do that, both because I don't think he's a big enough name and because I'm not sure that he can physically make 125 safely.
I agree. Plus, they have the same managers. They're already taking a chance fighting each other here. Why would they want to risk another loss against each other? In essence, just making a big mess for their clients. So
great point.
It's already a risk as it is. To do it, to double down would be horrible. And then you're actually doing a disservice to your clients by, basically setting one of them up to lose.
Great point. Absolutely great point.
Okay, with that being said, I have a great question here, and we have to talk about this, even though I told you I wouldn't. The last moderate one. Thoughts on Joshua Ruiz? You want me to go first?
Yeah, I think you should go first.
I loved it. I loved every second of it. I think it was slick boxing by Ruiz. I think a lot of people, and I think you mentioned Stephen A. Smith in particular, was going absolutely nuts. I don't think there's any question that Anthony Joshua looked disinterested, A. B, it's hard to say that he looked like he hadn't prepared because the guy physically is like as good physically as you can possibly be, but he just did not look there. Technically, Ruiz outboxed him start to finish.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so, the implications, I almost don't even know where to begin. We could talk for an hour about it. The Wilder, Joshua, Fury thing has come to a halt right now. Ruiz is going to rematch versus Joshua. I think they already said in November or December.
I've got a simple question for you then. No, I completely understand. Who do you favor in the rematch? And it is worth noting that it will be in the UK.
It's really hard to say, obviously. I think Ruiz showed that he has a style that's going to give Joshua problems regardless. With that being said, I think we saw the worst version of Anthony Joshua that we had seen yet. He was very uninterested. Wasn't, even before he got clubbed, wasn't offering a ton. He had his left arm low by his hip and was kind of just, he didn't look engaged. Even a lot of people brought this up, so I don't want to go too deep into it, but pre-fight, he was chewing on his mouthpiece. He's leaning on the ropes. He's, barely has a sweat. It's like it seems strange from the beginning. I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, so I don't know if you saw my back and forth with MMA Twitter darling Kaposa at Grabacca Hitman. Nothing but respect for Kaposa. He obviously knows his combat sports. But he was we were going back and forth because I essentially said that I had not seen AJ look the same since his amazing victory over Vladimir Klitschko. And then Kaposa said, no, I disagree. I would argue that he's looked much better since Klitschko. And I just thought that was the most hipster garbage answer, frankly, that
I don't think so. How many of those fights have you sat down and watched start to finish, A?
Every single one. Thanks for asking. Every
then
single one.
Then what are you looking at?
What are you looking at, dude? He couldn't even get close to knockouts. He barely beat most of those guys. The Parker fight? Joshua Parker.
How many knockouts does he have on his record?
How many knockouts does he have in his last few fights? What are you talking about?
He just knocked Povetkin through the ropes like last year.
No one even knows who Povetkin is.
You don't know who Povetkin is.
No one cares about Povetkin, man. Come on.
Yeah, well,
come on. Joshua hasn't looked the same since fucking Klitschko. Come on, man. No?
You're wrong. Completely wrong.
Oh my gosh. You and Kaposa should go form like an alternative rock band. You're such hipsters.
An alternative MMA group.
Yeah, do it. Okay, I think that's it for the questions.
Anyways,
right?
Yeah. Does that do it for the questions?
I think so. Go double check, but I think that's it. And if it is, then go ahead and take us away.
All right, guys. Well, as usual, you can find us on iTunes, Spotify, SoundCloud, YouTube, Google Play, and Stitcher. I'm at the Fight Geek MMA. He's at Phil the MMA Dude. We're at Split_podcast. It's 4 words. The Split Decision Podcast. Thanks for tuning in. We'll talk to you next week. Peace.